Kyler McMichael just recently announced that he will be transferring, and some of the controversy around it is that he'll be transferring and like immediately said where he was going. So there's like no, I mean, at least he already knew before he got started that, or before he announced he was ready to go. And also he's going to a team that we're going to be playing. A lot of people are kind of concerned that he might take a playbook with him. I don't know if that's the case. Obviously, Dabo doesn't like to have players leave uh, before they graduate. That he's always said that. I want you to stay here and graduate.
Yeah.
Fulfill your commitment at least to the university to graduate.
Sure.
Whatever you do, past that is on you. But what? So Al, when you first heard about it, what were you upset? Were you confused? What was going through your mind?
Well, I was a little confused for sure. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. You know, this news came out of nowhere. Kyler McMichael was a very sought after recruit. A lot of people thought he had a pretty high ceiling. He was a very a bigger kind of corner. The kind that they like, and I thought he had plenty of potential. My guess is the emergence of Derion Kendrick and all the reviews that he's drawn, the rave reviews that he's drawn, that maybe it scared him off. I mean, Sheridan Booth had a great spring game. A lot of people are really kind of talking him up and how physical he was and how ready he is at this time. And of course, you got 5-star Andrew Booth that's coming in as well. So I'm guessing he kind of saw the writing on the wall. I'm not really sure. It was just it was confusing to say the least in the beginning, but at the end of the day, I'm not sure it hurts Clemson. It kind of frees up another scholarship just in case maybe they're oversign worthy there or oversign at another position maybe. It might be kind of addition by subtraction. I'm really just it shocks me, but at the same time, he may have seen it coming. You wish him the best and let him move on.
Some of the notes that I have on it, let me get them back up here. Some of the notes I have on it is I heard some rumors that were coming around that said he was kind of uncomfortable with some of his playing time. Said that he was kind of looking forward to being maybe one of the starters, fighting for that spot that Trayvon Mullen left behind. And then DK comes over and just dominates. And
Right.
what we've heard from DK's side of the story is that he's a worker, man. He just wants to get in there and just win that spot, whether it's linebacker, offensive line, wide receiver, whatever it may be. Now, wide receiver didn't really work out for him, but it says a lot about a guy who jumps in and just takes the reins and puts his heart and soul into winning that starting job in a position that he originally wasn't recruited for. And so a lot said for Derion Kendrick, and that might have frustrated some guys who were like, hey, we've been here already for a year. A lot of them didn't get redshirted. I don't think any of them really got redshirted. Maybe Lee Anthony, I think, got redshirted. But another thing I noticed is that at least when he was first recruited, they said they were looking for a guy who, for him, could potentially fulfill a safety role.
Right.
And because it was kind of loaded a little bit with DK coming over, that there might be been trying to kind of talk him into the safety, and he wasn't having that.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I think his highest upside is at safety. I'm not sure he has the quick hips to be the elite corner that he wants to be. Now he has the ability to be a good college corner for sure. But again, he was getting buried on the depth chart there. I think safety is his highest upside position, but I think he wanted to stick at corner, and that was kind of their camp's stance the whole time.
Do you think he's going to steal the playbook and take it over to Mac Brown before? I mean, I don't think that there's much to that.
Yeah, I mean that's it's funny. It's the first thing that enters fans' mind anytime that happens. It happened with Josh Belk last year. It's going to happen. It's going to happen with Kyler McMichael. That's just the way it works. It's going to happen with Feaster. Same thing. Everybody's worried about, especially South Carolina of all people, of course, getting our playbook and getting our plays. It's a concern for me as well. I don't know that when I say it's a concern, it's always in the back of my mind because what if they're able to kind of close the talent gap just enough so that knowing our playbook can help out. I don't think it's going to help them in the immediate future, and by that time we may have changed things up. By the time they close that gap, hopefully that won't happen. But it's always a concern for sure. But I'm not really sure the inner workings of that. I don't know. I'm sure Dabo and staff have a plan. I always trust the staff. They always do a good job. So I don't have any belief right now that it's really going to make much of a difference, especially at UNC this year.
My thought is you still got a lot of room there. I mean, Sheridan Jones came in and showed out. Mm-hmm. Andrew Booth is obviously a top level guy. We looked at his film. I mean, he's just amazing. He's going to do great. Mario Goodman, right? He or
Goodrich.
Goodrich, right? Mario Goodrich. He recently, or back in January, was voted like up and coming defensive player for next year by the team.
Yep.
So I believe he's got a good shot at kind of competing there too. And then obviously you have AJ, who AJ had over 800 snaps last year, so he's not going anywhere. My last thought on that was going back to the transfer portal. It's kind of getting a little frustrating, the fact that
Yep.
we're having to talk about the transfer portal yet again,
Yep.
and that it's like recruiting. It's like a different aspect of recruiting now, and Brad Brownell is like taking advantage of it. So I'm not going to say it's all bad, but if you look at it, I mean, you're gonna we ought to start a website right now for transfer portal crystal ball or something, because it's going to get that way where it's like, what big star is frustrated with playing time, what big star will be leaving next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's a concern for sure for me. Um, but I think it's getting more and more popular, especially right now that they have it like you could just leave. I haven't read anything where he's going to try to get that waiver, but a lot of guys go in there, they get that waiver, and they turn around and play immediately, and it's like, we all know you just left because you just lost your playing time, not because of a hardship.
If one less corners on the roster, one less highly regarded corners on the roster, maybe it helps Clemson sell that, to some studs next year in the next class. Opening up another space. People want to see early playing time, and the less there is on the depth chart, the better it looks.
I agree. There's some guys that we're going to get into towards the end of the season, into the year. Tony Grimes and Quincy McKendry. Did I say it right?
McKinstry, yeah.
McKinstry. So there's two guys that if you haven't heard of them, you're going to hear about them pretty soon. Two really good friends that might have a spot for now.